What up, y'all? Welcome to the Texas Sports Unfiltered post-game show. I am Zay Collier, joined by my man, Double R, the great Rodney Rodriguez. Texas Sports Unfiltered post-game show brought to you by Covert Bee Cave and Audio-Visual Consultations. The Longhorns get their first win of the season, now 1-1 against the San Jose Spartans, 38-7. Interesting game, a little sloppy for my taste, but a win's a win. We expected the Longhorns to come into this game and get the dub. Appreciate everybody for rocking with us here on TSU. Like, subscribe, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, Instagram. We're everywhere. Get the app. Y'all know how we get down. Hit up the Coda text line at 512-222-9328. Hit up the comment section. Appreciate everybody. But yeah, Double R, hearing Steve Sarkisian, Arch Manning right after the game, Arch said himself, it was sloppy. He thought he played okay, very hard on himself, his own, worst critic. But hey, this team, when you think about this squad and you think about just their upside and everything that they have to play for this year, you want to see a cleaner game. And we understand it's the beginning of the season, but when you get hit with 12 penalties for over 115 yards, when you play against good teams, it's hard to win like that. And you lose the, penalty battle last week. And my dog's going crazy right now.
It's all good.
But that's the first thing you notice in this game. And it took a while for Texas to find their footing, Texas to get a little bit of a rhythm. Shout out to the defense for the 4 turnovers. They clearly made that a point of emphasis going into this week, not allowing any or not forcing any turnovers on Ohio State. You come into this game, a lot of Peanut Tillman type of situations where you're trying to punch that ball out, kind of like what Derek Johnson used to do back in his day. Ant Hill, Ty Anthony Smith, Jelani McDonald with the tip that led to the Jalen Gilbo interception. So you like those things. And Arch Manning, good chemistry with Parker Livingston, good chemistry with Jack Indries. Ryan Wingo, not so much. You don't like what happened to DeAndre Moore at all, him having to leave the field. I don't know exactly what that injury was, but Colin Simmons got nicked up. Mookie Taft got nicked up. So you don't like those things. Contravian Wisener not being available. Like to hear from Sark with that on why he wasn't available. Neither was Alex January, the interior defensive lineman. So even though it's a blowout win, we expected that. The Horns didn't cover on the spread. You know what I'm saying? Like, great teams cover, so
right.
You get that. But you get the dub. You saw a lot of good flashes. Overall, it's just sloppy play, and you're looking to get better these next 2 weeks before that bye comes, and then you go off to the Swamp for your first SEC matchup in the beginning of October.
Yeah, man, it's immediate concern, when the game starts with the offensive side. That's the one thing after 2 weeks that I'm totally convinced about, and I was convinced about this last week, right from the get-go, that this defense is solid, and there are so many pieces and everything that you're going to need right there. But this offense comes staggering out of the gate once again, and you can just tell that with Arch Manning, for everything that he's the potential that he has, it's just and people don't want to afford him the time to do it. It's this whole mindset that he should be ready to go by this moment when he shouldn't be. He hasn't had the opportunity to be in this moment. And when he has the 83-yard touchdown pass to Livingstone, I'm like, okay, that really seemed to be kind of like that moment right there where it's like, okay, that's that light bulb moment where we're going to see that flash. And we did, but the inconsistency is concerning. And again, they have to gel. They have to learn one another. I think that's where we don't maybe want to give them that time, where we think that should already be there. And I think that probably a lot of the conversation may go to with the inconsistencies and penalties and so forth, because that was big again. Again, it's not such a big storyline right now because of the final score, but that's going to come into play as well to how well is this team being prepared. How prepared are they? But I think when it goes down to it, you can't prepare for actual on-game experience. And the offense being on the field, Arch being on the field late and so forth before he finally gives way. That's great. I'm totally with that. But with the defense, when you see Colin Simmons and these guys go down, that's the shit right there that'll make you lose sleep, because that's the scary stuff, because that's stuff that's not, maybe not going to hurt you today, next week, and the week after, but once you get to the swamp and beyond there, that's when that's really going to cost you.
Yeah, they just seem like a team that's not very disciplined right now. And that scares you. That could obviously get better, but that's a coaching thing right there. And, just that's the 12 penalties. That screams at you. As far as Arch goes, man, 19 for 30, 295 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick, a touchdown on the ground. Like, he looked a lot better. Obviously, you thought he would, playing against the defense that isn't as talented as those guys that flying around in Ohio State. But, yeah, you still saw some ups and downs. The ups are Parker Livingston might be the truth.
Yeah.
That's the ups. Like, I know everybody loves to have the comparisons of Colt McCoy and Jordan Shipley, just because when you see a white wide receiver at Texas, we're going to say that dude's Jordan Shipley. That's how it has to go. So Parker Livingston, this is good. This is good. This is what you want if you're Parker Livingston. If you get any type of Jordan Shipley comparisons, even if it has to do with the tone of your skin, you'll take it and you'll run with it if you're Parker Livingston. So
Absolutely.
Shout out to him. The dude has wheels, man. I think that's one of the biggest things that a lot of Texas fans are curious about after the Ohio State game, Rodney. You think about, do they have any guys that are capable of the explosive plays? Parker Livingston could fly.
Yeah.
Ryan Wingo could fly. DeAndre Moore could fly. They still have dudes that are fast, but the game plan that we saw with Matt Patricia, along with those really fast guys at Ohio State, along with Arch Manning's inability to stay consistent with those throws, you could see why we didn't see that explosiveness flash last week. Today, we saw a little bit of that. Jack Indries, he's going to be a hell of a player.
Yeah,
he didn't play much in that second half because they were starting to get a lot of those up-and-coming tight ends some bump. Jordan Washington, Nick Townsend, Amari Winston, all those guys, Spencer Shannon, they got a lot of playing time after those 2 Jack Indries touchdowns. So, with Arch, man, he was a lot more calm in the pocket, maneuvered a lot better to where the pressure was coming. And I don't like that, Rodney. I think the communication with the offensive line, even though they had some really good moments today, Brandon Baker and just some of these guys, their communication's just not there.
Nope.
And there were times where guys were getting beat. There were times where Cole Hudson's getting beat. And we're talking about San Jose State. Like, San Jose State, they played hard. Their coaches were yelling at them and stuff. The coach lost his mind on Walker Egan.
That dude was pissed, wasn't he?
He lost his shit. I was like, yo, coach, man, I like it. I'm with it. We need more coaching like that. Like,
did you see the other coach? The other coach was like,
yeah, like, we need that type of coaching. If you're not doing your job, then somebody's going to fire your ass up. You know what I'm saying? So, and Eddie, I'm just going by what my man Bachelor Jesse Palmer was going by. I change it up every week. I don't know if it's Livingstone. I don't know if it's Livingston.
Yeah.
I have no idea what his freaking name is, because I've heard Sark say Livingstone. I heard BK say Livingston. I've heard the announcing crew last week, Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt, say Livingstone. And then this week, Jesse Palmer or whoever the hell was with him were saying Livingston. So I'll switch it up. Like, until he comes out and says it, we really don't know. Hell, we just found out this year we've been calling Bijan Robinson's name wrong for the last however many years. Like, it's not Bijan, it's Bijan. So I don't like these names, man. I just let let it roll, baby. I just let it roll. But he looked good. Either way, Parker looked good. Again, don't like the DeAndre Moore situation, but yeah, Double R, like, the sloppiness. That's the thing that you're scared of. And then, Jared Gibson, you can't fumble, bro. I was confused why Jared Gibson didn't get any clock against Ohio State last week. Now I know why. I was confused why Christian Clark was getting reps instead of Jared Gibson in this game. Now I know why. You can't fumble that thing, dog. But Arch's turnover, horrible. Like, This dude was, he was out here playing with homeboy that rushed his ass. Then instead of taking the sack or somehow throwing that thing out of bounds, he thought he'd be able to get that ball off. And once you get your arm chopped, it's fair game. Like, hips and overthrows, that's what defenses want. So Arch will learn in those situations. That was a bad pick, but him scrambling when things go wrong, when that defense collapses on him, and him be able to get out of that pocket, that's why he's so versatile. That's why he's so dangerous. That's why he has all of this hype coming into the season. We saw a lot of flashes of that today. I love how he holds himself accountable and understands that he has just so much room to get better every week. He showed that he got better this past week, even though it was against a lesser opponent. I thought Arch Manning did well.
Yeah, and that's the thing where you did see you did see everything really. The mechanics were there, and at one point there after the first touchdown, after the 83-yard touchdown to number 13, whatever his freaking name is, you did see the complimentary football. And I know that that's something that Sark is really big on. He talks about that all the time, about complimentary football, and you did see that. But that's the thing to me. And again, we're only in game 2, but the consistency is just, and the sloppy part, like you talked about, Zay, that's the stuff that really worries me. And I think this team is fortunate that you have 2 more, you can call them scrimmages, you want to call them non-con, whatever you want to call them. I think they're fortunate that you have that, because there really is a lot to clean up. There's a hell of a lot to clean up. And the thing with Livingston, whatever, I think where that's emerged as such a bigger story is that we went into this season thinking that it was going to be Arch to Ryan Wingo. We thought that was already going to be established. We thought that was just going to be the can't miss that we were going to see right out of the right out of the box against Ohio State, and it wasn't there. I mean, you could tell that those dudes weren't on the same page, but the one thing that you can tell is that he and 13 are on the same page. 16 to 13 is something that's working really, really well right now, and 16 to 88 is working really, really well right now. So I think that's where you take that and you start building that part. And then I like that we did see Wingo out on some little screen type, little hitch stuff today, that you did see some of that. So some of that play calling looked a little more, not so much aggressive, but maybe a little more, not aggressive, not conservative, but a little more fluid, to where there were other options that are maybe being figured out right here. So that's just got to develop itself. It's going to take a little bit of time, but of course we're not patient. That's the thing. We're not patient, but Arch, when he was on today, that looked like the Arch Manning that we've all been waiting to see.
Yeah, and again, he might be more Eli than he is Peyton. I know Texas fans, they might not like that, because when you think of Manning, you think of Peyton first and what he did with his career. And I think Eli gets slept on a lot for how much he did. But, Eli with the weird faces and just the looks and stuff. Arch has that. We talked about this last week, Double R. He has that look. Just that classic Eli Manning look, where it could seem like, he might be seeing ghost out there, when really this is just him being composed. And, he makes weird faces when he throws, to where you're like, is he grimacing out there? And clearly he's not, because I'm pretty sure he would have been pulled if there was an injury issue. But that's just how he operates. That one shot where Ryan Wingo was coming across the middle, and that was one of Arch's worst passes of the
just
the
off.
He threw it. Yeah, he threw it at the ground, but he was grimacing while he was in the middle of his motion, and it's just weird. It's a very weird, just mannerism.
Yeah,
it's odd. So I guess you just got to get used to that. But
and Zay,
afterwards, I don't know.
I still saw him this week. I know we talked about this last week, where I see him. And I get it. I mean, when you're tense, when you're whatever, but I see him all the time. It's like, and I totally get that. And of course, so after last week, it's like I started reading on Monday or Tuesday, whenever it was, to where it's like, oh, his shoulders hurt. His shoulders hurt.
I don't think that's the thing.
No,
I think he's not helping the case when he's grimacing and wincing while making throws and stuff, but the dude, he's hard to tackle. he did a really good job of maneuvering in the pocket to give himself easier windows to throw a clean ball in. And just the offensive line, it could have been better with their protection and their communication. And hell, it almost was a key strip sack fumble because Jordan Washington got beat out the yang.
Yep.
And oh boy, got a clear shot on Arch. Thank goodness Jordan Washington was there to keep the ball out of the end zone to avoid a safety. But just little things like that, it needs to be cleaned up.
Yeah.
And Eddie's right. Like Ryan Wingo, you talk about that chemistry or lack thereof that him and Arch have. Arch couldn't have thrown a better ball early in the game on that third down that went right through Ryan Wingo's hands. Like those types of things. And I get it. It's still early in the season. Not just Arch is dealing with the pressure. Like everyone's dealing with the pressure and the aspirations and the optimism that you have coming into this year. We know it is a big year to do big things. You've been so close to the college football championship, and now you got a team that has all the talent to do so. We see a defense that's definitely capable of winning the national championship. So a lot of pressure is on this offense. And now you're dealing with Contravian Wisner being injured. You're dealing with possibly DeAndre Moore being injured. So you're getting hit with a lot of adversity early that you got to fight through. I like the little bit that we saw with Matthew Caldwell and Khalil Lockett and, Dalen McCutcheon. He got some bump late in the game. Like, they got a lot of guys that are a part of this future. But for this team right now, you got to find that rhythm. Mm-hmm. And hopefully these next 2 weeks, when you got UTEP coming into town and Sam Houston State right before that bye versus Florida, because Florida, they're going to go through the ringer before that.
Absolutely.
They're going to come into that game limping a little bit with the schedule that they got. They still got to play Miami and, a couple of other teams. Their game with South Florida today, that ain't going to be no easy route. So Florida, you should have the advantage there by getting that rest because of the bye. But there's just so much this team has to clean up. I think Colin Simmons, he needs to pick it up, man. There were times where his eyes were misleading him, and he was getting hit in RPO situations, and you're just like, dude, you're causing penalties.
Yeah, offsides.
All the hype he's getting, he's got to pick it up. And I get it. You're going to get a lot of attention if you're a player like Colin Simmons. And that's going to allow for the guys around you, the other 10 guys around you, to eat. But he's a big-time player that needs to be playing better than what he is right now. I expect him to pick it up, and hopefully he does it when the games really start to matter.
Yeah, and the thing, kind of going back to Arch, one of the things that was really driving me mad last week, Jay, I don't even know if I mentioned it or I just thought it, and it just pissed me off so bad that I didn't even talk about it, was last week where that dude kept isolating himself. I mean, it was bad enough that the performance on the field, but he had the deer in the headlights look anyway. He just looked overwhelmed, understandably. But like when they would show that dude and he's sitting over there in the tent all by himself. I mean, he doesn't have an iPad or whatever that thing is, doesn't have a tablet in his hand. He's not going back. And then when Sark is talking about, well, when we went in at the half and could review some film, you look at these guys when they go hit the sideline. And I saw this today. Number one, he's with his quarterback room. I saw him sitting with linemen. I saw him interacting. And one of the things going into the season was about Arch being Arch and Arch being the leader that we thought he was. After last week, I didn't think that, because it's like that dude's over there in his own world. This week, the interaction just seemed a lot better. And I saw him with a tablet in his hand looking at different things. And I saw him like high-fiving linemen. And I saw him, he seemed to have a personality. And I get that like with Eli, that's kind of the Manning thing where they're just very stoic, but yet a funny guy when you get him out of the intensity of the battle. He seemed like a better teammate today. He seemed like a better teammate today, where he was actually with his dudes. And, especially especially once he got into the groove, that's when you really saw him start to loosen up. And I think that's the biggest thing that has to happen for him. And it needs to be on the coaching staff and his teammates to like when he talked about, I heard him talking on the broadcast about CJ Baxter, that relationship with CJ Baxter, to where it's like he needs a lot of that, where it's going to be dudes that are going to just let him loosen up and go into the flow and just do what he does best. And he's just not at that point yet. We saw shades of it today. So I think we're heading down that path. So a much better teammate to me. And that goes a long way when I look at the big picture.
Yeah, it's hard to lead vocally when you're struggling to lead
Yeah.
by example. And I think that's just a situation that he's in, or he was in. He played a lot better today. But there was that B-roll clip that they showed on ABC of him and CJ Baxter, and CJ Baxter going up to him and kind of like hyping him up and like shaking him like, yo, bro, like, let's go. Like, yo, this should be the funnest time of your life. Like, cherish it. And, good for CJ Baxter for understanding that, because sometimes you need a little kick in the butt from somebody that has the respect like CJ Baxter does. And that could really upstart your excitement and just kind of hype you up and get you more locked in to the game. So I really appreciate CJ Baxter for doing that with Arch a little bit early. But let's get to some of these sponsors like Gobundance. Texas football is built on legends, from Daryl K. Royal setting the standard to the great Mac Brown, who is back home in the ATX doing his podcast thing with VY and them, and VY, Colt McCoy. I mean, the Longhorn way is way more than talent, but it's more about discipline, brotherhood, and rising to the occasion. And that could be said about Gobundance, a community of high-achieving men, business professionals, investors, and leaders who push each other to win, not only in business, but in life. So if you're ready to live like a champion, then join the Gobundance team now. Join the tribe at gobundance.com/TSU, www.gobundance.com/TSU.
Yeah, man. And Zay, they sponsor the scoreboard, their scoreboard updates, which, speaking of that, I mean, SMU and Baylor right now, second overtime, 45 right now. So that's you got a good one going on in Dallas right there between the old Southwest Conference going at it again, SMU and Baylor.
Chip.
My
man's ponies, man. It's one of them times, man. Got to get a big win at home. CW Network, 2 overtimes.
CW.
CW, man. Shout out to old school UPN, man. I remember CW, Steve Harvey show and things like that. CW was popping back in the day. But, yeah, other scores brought to you by Gobundance. As my man Double R said, tie game, Baylor, SMU, 45-45, double overtime. Ole Miss and Kentucky just started. That game is 0-0. And all that talk from Mike Gundy to Dan Lanning, and now they get to settle it on the field. Oklahoma State in Eugene, down early in the first quarter, 13-0. That could get bad really fast. Ohio State beating Grambling 14-0, and Clemson down to Troy 7-0, and it's a delay right now. So, Clemson, team that a lot of folks were high on. Again, it's a long game. It's only 7-0. It just started, but you wouldn't expect Clemson to be down to Troy at all.
That's right. Well, fourth quarter, about 3 minutes to go. You got A&M on top of Utah State, 44-22. Utah State's kind of clawed back into that a little bit. I mean, they're not going to win the game, obviously, but kind of clawing back in. And Zay, I got to tell you, man, I as a lifelong Central Texan and a lifelong wannabe athlete that was never good enough, I'm really interested this afternoon to check out the I-35 rivalry. This
UTSA, Texas State.
Yeah, man. That's I got a lot of buddies that are all going at each other about this. I'm like, oh hell, here we go.
It's a big one. That's a big one. A lot of bragging rights in that game. But Double R, we saw a lot of young guys play today, get the opportunity. I hear Justice Terry, he was in there a little bit, mixing it up. They were trying Grayson Littleton today. He didn't have the kind of game that he had against Ohio State. I thought Grayson Littleton got beat a couple of times, and Walker Egan just couldn't make those throws for San Jose State. But you look at this defense, and they're going to keep this team in the game no matter who they play. Even though there were some interesting big gains randomly playing against San Jose State today. I mean, 85 rushing yards, 29 attempts. You like those numbers, 2.9, on the ground average. Buck 88 through the air total, 21 for 43 for San Jose State. So you knew it would be very difficult for the Spartans to move the ball against Texas. And again, no turnovers in the Ohio State game. So I'm sure Pete Kwiatkowski challenged the defense this week. And you saw it. Like Ant Hill, he basically Mike Tyson, the homeboy, for that fumble. Like, I don't know how that's not a targeting. My man kind of threw his head into Ant Hill's fist in a way, but, Ant Hill, he had that mindset of, I'm coming in hot. I could care less about my body. I could care less who has the ball right now. They going to get knocked the hell out, and they better hold on to it or else. That didn't happen. Led to a turnover. And you could see Ant Hill on the sideline. Yeah. When he was watching it, he was hyped up. Like, when they showed it, he was like, bitch. That was one of the funniest moments of the game. I was like, that's what's up. Like, we don't need no choir boys out here. We need dogs. Ty Anthony Smith, his takeaway was ridiculous, man. Like, that was very Derek Johnson-esque to grab the ball and snatch it out of the running back's hands. Like, that's a big time play. And they gave Ant Hill 2 forced fumbles. I want to say Ty Anthony Smith had one of those, and they just gave it to the wrong person. I may be mistaken. I'm going to watch the game this weekend before we got our weekly shows here on TSU. But either way, you got to force turnovers to put this offense in good field position, because the way it's looking right now, this offense is going to need some help. And that's what kind of worries you. Like, Arch, as good of a day as he had, it wasn't like they had long drives. Like, those turnovers, you were starting off at like the 36-yard line, 35-yard line. The last one was at the 1-yard line, the one that Trey Moore, he picked it up and almost scored. You got to score that big, Ocho. But either way, you're on the 1-yard line, and then you try to put it in there, it gets called back, and then it leads to the Jack Indries 16-yard touchdown. So complimentary football, we'll take it, but just a little devil's advocate for the offense. When you're put in those situations, they didn't have to work as hard. There can still be some serious offensive problems here, like we've talked about for the last 30 minutes, basically.
Yeah, with the offense and with the personnel, by the way, breaking news, Baylor beats SMU 48-45.
Oh, Dave.
There you go. There you go. Look at that. Look at that. In Dallas, ponies go down. With an offense with this personnel, with just everything that you have here, Arch Manning, the running attack, just everything that you have here, this better damn well not be a team that you're going to get down into crunch time and you're going to be leaning on that defense all of the time. I know there are going to be times to where the defense is going to have to save your ass when you get in crunch situations, but it just seems like everything with the lack of continuity and the lack of fundamentals and the lack of some of the mechanics right now with the offense, say that's the trend that we're headed to. And when you get to play in Florida, and when you get to play in Georgia, hell, even A&M and some of these teams, to where it's like, if that productivity on the offense is just not there and the consistency is not there, at some point this defense is going to bend and break, and they're going to let you down in a bad situation because they're having to toe the line all the time. But that just really, and again, I know we're in game 2 and we'll have overreaction today and tomorrow and Monday and probably the first part of the week. And unless we see something otherwise at this point, it's just a spitting and sputtering offense. It's just something that so many things are lacking. And it is the discipline thing that's a little more frustrating. And there are plenty of positives today. I mean, there are. I mean, Arch planting his feet. You didn't see the sidearms. You didn't see all the whatever. But then, the stuff that he has to learn, the interception down on the goal line. I mean, you don't do that. The Gibson thing. I saw that dude. He looked destroyed on the sideline after. But like
he's
you said,
done.
yeah,
I feel bad for him because
he's done.
I don't know what you do with that.
Yeah, Jay, and I got to tell you that was one of those dudes that I had floating under the radar to where it's like now for the red zone stuff, and you are so right where they're like, well, Arch 4 touchdowns and all this shit. Well, yeah, it's a short field. I mean, look, not to discount any of that. I mean, that's great. And I saw people talking about he might break an all-time passing record or a single game. I'm like, with 30 yards in a short field every time, he's not gonna break any records doing that shit. But it's like, there's a lot to fix. But Gibson, that I really thought that guy would contribute and help fix some of that red zone stuff. I had number 9 on my kind of little scorecard in pencil saying that could be a dude. But when that happened, that dude's done, man.
Yeah, you're already RB4. You're already the running back number 4 after Xavier Wisner, CJ Baxter, and now Christian Clark is playing more than you. So you can't afford to make any mistakes if you're Jared Gibson. And seems like we probably won't see Baby Rhino in meaningful moments. But yeah, hair of the dog, I agree. I think Brandon Baker showing his inexperience early, whether it's communication assignments and he's locked on to someone that he shouldn't be and he misses somebody going around him, like we saw last week in the last play of the game for Ohio State on that,
that block,
where like he got Arch blowed up on a play, where Arch had to avoid the contact from the edge rusher, coming around, just a one-on-one matchup where he was just beat by a quicker guy. So that makes you nervous. And Jesse Palmer called it out. He was like, right tackle isn't that secure. Like, you don't feel great about right tackle right now if you're Texas and you're Steve Sarkisian, and that could be problematic as the year goes on. But get to another one of our sponsors. Let's start the offensive player of the game, Double R, brought to you by Clean Calls. Our friends over at Clean Calls, they're on a mission to energize lives with a purpose. Craft refreshing, better for you sparkling urban mate beverages that deliver a clean caffeine boost without the crash, because the crash is the worst. All that sugar, you feel good at the moment, but hours later, you feel it, and you feel it hard. Not with Clean Calls, man. They are the best. Beyond energy, it's about building an impact. 50% of the profits fund addiction recovery housing sponsorships, giving every single sip for a greater purpose. More than 3.8 million has been donated to the community, and we're just getting started. They got a whole bunch of new flavors, like one of my favorites, the strawberry lemonade zero, with 0 calories and 0 sugar, plus the new packaging, just labels clean, everything. It's just awesome. Everything that Clean Calls represents is absolutely awesome. You can find it at your local grocery store or convenience stores across town, or online at cleancalls.com. Double R, your Clean Calls offensive player of the game. Who you got?
Zay, before we jump into that, I wish we still did the what do we call it? The pat on the back. We
we all do that though, Bar. Yeah,
that Leland Smith catch, dude. I'm like, just for shits and grins, let that stand. So it's a catch.
I can't do my man Kobe Black like that.
Yeah,
Kobe Black, he tried. He was there. That was a hell of a play, but
that was a great play, man.
Ended up being incomplete.
Yeah, incomplete. Offense and again, I'm seeing a trend. I'm seeing a pattern where 13, whatever his name is, that's going to be the dude. That's going to be the dude that's going to be the one, because that's the one that set Arch off. And that's kind of, look at the history of Texas quarterbacks. And you mentioned the comparisons with the other 2 roommates and all that. There's always been that one go-to guy that's going to ignite a quarterback. It's going to ignite an offense. It's going to ignite whatever you may need to happen at that time. And with an offense that we're watching right now that's kind of stumbling around a little bit, 13 seems to be the one guy that really can get 16 going. And he did today. And so, and again, you talk about the SEC watching Brandon Block or
Baker.
that's what they're going to do now. So 13's now going to draw a lot more attention maybe than he would have before, the last couple of weeks. But I don't know how you can't go with 13. Injuries is great. Injuries is great, but it does seem like Livingstone is the dude right now that kind of is the one that kind of lights that match. He's the punk. When you're doing a firework, when you're lighting fireworks, he's the punk to Arch. He kind of lights him. So you got to go with 13 at this point.
Yeah, and who knows how close their relationship is. Obviously them being roommates, it's close that way, but that gives you different access for both of them. Like, you could wake one up and be like, yo, let's go run routes.
Yep.
That type of thing. And they could have formed a deeper chemistry there, where now you're seeing it on Saturdays. And again, it's still early. Things could change. Like, Matthew Golden wasn't Quinn's number one target last year around this point. So that developed. So a lot could happen from now to the end of December. But what Parker Livingston has been doing, the speed that he has with his size, he seems fearless. He seems like he's ready for the moment. I think he's transformed his body coming in as a freshman in that 2024 class to now. Like, the dude's has something. I wouldn't say it's the it factor. I'm not going to get over my skis that far, Rodney, but there's something there. There's something there with the two guys. The catch that he had last week for the touchdown on Jermaine Matthews was incredible. Like, that was a ridiculous, very difficult catch to make, and Parker Livingston made that thing look easy. So, yeah, I like him for your clean calls offensive player of the game. I'm going to go with Arch Manning, man. Like, it's been a rough week for Arch. A lot of people have been dissecting this game, telling them what he did well, what he didn't do well, and I just love the way that he carries himself. I think he understands that today wasn't pretty, even though you won 38-7 and now 1-1 heading into week 3 of the college football season. But as a leader, he's saying all the right things. He understands that he has to get better. And it's just the little things. And you saw some of those little things look just out of the world's better this week. Now, I will continue to say San Jose's defense is a lot different than Ohio State's defense. Please believe me. But you still want to see some type of, progression as the weeks go on. You got to get better. You got to look more confident. And I thought Sark kept them in for a good amount of time in this game. Like, you could have rested him the whole fourth quarter. He didn't do that. They were trying to put more points on the board, but Arch is going to come into this next week, and I think he's going to be even better. You just got to clean up the penalties. You clean up the penalties, and I think we're talking about a different game here, Rodney. I think they cover if you clean up the penalties, but that's going to be the point of emphasis for Sark this week. 12 penalties, 115 yards. You can't put that on Arch. You can't put that on Parker Livingston. Well, maybe one of those penalties on Parker Livingston, because he did have that hold call to start the game, which took back DeAndre Moore's jet sweep reverse. But besides that, you'll take it. You get the win, feel good about it, and move on.
And Zay, I think that it's a really pivotal point right now, even just after game 2, with a couple of, very winnable games coming up, to where it's like even in the post game when they talked to Arch there on ABC and he's like, he's excited that they won. I think he recognizes how much better he got and the good things that happened. But I think this is where Steve Sarkisian and the staff, they're going to have to really work to not let the dude get totally down on himself. And the family will have a big part of that too, Zay. You know that. But you've played ball. We've all played ball to where it's like confidence is the most important thing that you have to have, even if you're sucking ass, even if you're truly sucking ass. When I was in the heyday of racing cars, there was a time that I was just sucking ass really bad. Couldn't do anything right, and I knew it. And it showed. It showed. I was beat before I ever got there. Not that Arch is going to get to that point, but that they really have to maneuver this. And this is where we forget these dudes are like 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, to where you have to have that mindset right. And I know that that's going to happen, but you got to remind the guy about the good things that he's doing, because it was a drastic improvement. I know that we're going from Westlake to Thrall, like in size of the team.
Right.
But it's like, keep this guy on track. Don't let him beat himself up any more than he's doing. And I truly do believe that he's beating himself up. I know some people that they can say stuff and you're like, I'm not really digging that. I don't think that he really means that. I think he really means that he's not good enough right now. I truly think that he thinks that.
I hear exactly what you're saying. You're absolutely right. I appreciate what he said today.
Mm-hmm.
12 penalties, that's horrible. I've watched the quarterback Netflix docuseries this past year on Joe Burrow, and one of those games that he had, I think it was against Tennessee. They won the game, but they were super sloppy, and he was low-key getting in his coach's shit like, yo, this is embarrassing. This is sloppy. This isn't our standard. How do we expect to be a playoff team or meet the goals that we set out before the season if we're going to put on this performance? And your quarterback, they got to have that aura. You got to, like, as you said, Double R, you got to have that balance of, okay, I need to pat myself on the back when credit's due, but also you got to read the room and keep it real. That was a sloppy-ass performance. If you play that sloppy in the SEC, you're a 7-5 team. And now we're having a way different conversation.
Yeah.
If this Texas team with this talent of a roster and this coaching staff goes 7-5, 8-4, and what I saw today, I don't think that's too out of the
I'm with you.
not like big of a thing. Or what am I trying to say? I don't think that's too far-fetched.
Not out of the question. Yeah,
Right.
I mean, and
what I saw today.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's just it. Like, if you're going to be that sloppy and Brandon Baker's going to get beat by these G5 edge rushers, Cole Hudson's going to get beat at times, and there's bad communication. Jordan Washington is getting beat at times. Arch has those moments of just making bad decisions where he feels like he has to put the Superman cape on instead of just taking the sack. Then why not? Why not 8-4? If you play the way you did against some of these high caliber teams in the SEC. So,
and I got to tell you, Zay, one of the things that I like to see out of this team, I mean, it's one thing to be confident and cocky and whatever, but and we saw a little bit more of it today to where everybody's telling you how good you are. But look, the other Thursday night with the Cowboys, when those dudes came out there, the Cowboys were talking a lot of shit. Those dudes came out. I mean, you look at Dak. I mean, that dude came out and he looked relaxed and he looked like he had nuts this big when he came out. And that defense, with all the questions that the Cowboys had on defense, those dudes came out and they truly believed that they were going to win that fucking game. Yeah. And I look at this Texas team right now and I'm like, guys, I mean, do you believe in yourself? And when I saw last week some of the stuff with Arch, and I hear Arch after the game today, I'm like, okay, where are these dudes kind of building them up? They need to build themselves up. I don't feel a confident team right now on the offense. Now the defense is letting the work do the talking. But, man, it's – guys, give me something. You have a fucking pulse? Shit.
Yeah. By the way, Ant Hill on his Twitter just retweeted his video of him Mike Tysoning somebody on the field that led to that fumble. And he put on the caption, KO.
Good. Good. We need more of that.
We do need more of that. I appreciate it. That was a crazy punch, but hey, someone had to do it. All right. Time for the defensive player of the game, brought to you by Kenfield Golf Cars. If you're in the market for a new or pre-owned golf cart, we got great news for you. Kenfield Golf Cars, right around the corner. They are the best. Founded in 1979, they have an unparalleled selection of golf carts available, new or used. So if you have a golf cart already and you want to pimp that thing out, make that thing fly, get just extra gadgets that it might be dated now, but you could definitely upgrade it, hit up Kenfield. Or if you want to build your own from scratch, from the bottom up, Kenfield will take care of you with that too. No job is too big, no job is too small for their team, and nobody does it better than Kenfield Golf Cars. So check out their website at kenfieldgolfcars.com for more info. Give them a call at 512-258-8515 and tell them Texas Sports Unfiltered sent you. All right, Double R, Defensive player of the game, brought to you by Kenfield Golf Cars. Who you got?
I got to go and kind of quiet. I mean, he had the big play with the forced fumble and the recovery and so forth. Ty Anthony Smith, man. But when you look at the box score of this thing, I mean, the dude had 5 solo tackles. He had a TFL. So again, it wasn't a lot of flash. It wasn't a lot of whatever. But that's what this defense is going to produce, because you have. You know, the guys that are going to get all the run and the guys that are getting talked about or whatever. And it's dudes like this, like LaFau last week, who was my defensive player of the week. That's not one of the guys that you have folks around the country talking about that are going to be big impact players, so that they're going to be a little quieter. And I think Smith was great today, man. I thought that, and again, very quiet, but it wasn't the same situation that it was last week, where I think if he'd had this stat line against Ohio State, he'd have been talked about a little bit more. But it's just at those key times, and the fumble, the forced fumble in the recovery, just great, man. I got to go with 26 this week.
Yeah, he's a guy that came in undersized, and shout out to Tory Beckman, the strength and conditioning coach, for getting his body right and being college football ready. And now he's making an impact. Like the forced fumbles that he had today, that dude, he went out headhunting, and he did a hell of a job with that. I'm going to say Ant Hill for my defensive player of the year, brought to you by Kenfield Golf Cars. A lot of the reason because how excited he was on that Peanut Tillman punch, but except for the ball, it was a punch to the face that led to that fumble. But that type of aggressiveness, like, you need that. And Ant Hill, who had a quiet game for his status against Ohio State, I think he took it upon himself with being challenged by Steve Sarkisian and Pete Kwiatkowski on winning the turnover battle to come into this week and show everybody, okay, we got to force turnovers. However we have to do it, we're going to do it. If I have to punch somebody in the face like Evander Holyfield, then I'm going to do that. And he set the tone by making those types of hits, and the whole defense, they had that whole mindset of just, yo, we're going to bring it to them. We're going to show them that if you want to go across this middle, you're going to have a price to pay. And that's what good defenses are all about. So shout out to Ant Hill. Shout out to Ty Anthony Smith. Both of those guys do a really good job at that linebacker position. Shout out to Johnny Nansen, linebackers coach, for getting those guys right. And yeah, you look for those guys to continue to have a really good season to go along with this excellent Texas defense.
And, you know, I do want to mention, we talked about Livingston, you know, the young dude over on the offensive side with everything that he's done. I mean, you and I were both glowing last week about Grayson Littleton, and, you know, the great performance that he had against Ohio State. He backed it up again today. He backed it up again today. I mean, you go and you look at the box score. It's games like this where you really have to go and look at the stat line and look at the box score to really dig into it, because so much of it flies under the radar, because the game, you know, it didn't have near the impact or anything that you had last week. But those two dudes right there, those young freshmen that are coming in here, they're living up to the hype. And again, that's where this program is at that point, to where those dudes are coming in and making immediate impacts on both sides of the ball. And that's what you want, a well-rounded program at this point.
Yep. Texas wins 38-7 against the San Jose Spartans to go 1-1. I am Zay Collier. He is Rodney Rodriguez. Appreciate y'all for jumping on Texas Sports Unfiltered post-game show, brought to you by Covert Bee Cave and Audiovisual Consultations. Let's get to the offensive play of the game, brought to you by Paul's Motorworks. Paul's Motorworks, they've been providing complete foreign and domestic automotive repair in the ATX since 2000, 25 years. That's a long time, and it's because they're one of the best in the business. Specialize in BMW, Mercedes, Mini Coupe, Porsche, Volkswagen, and Audi, but it doesn't matter what car you have, they can bring you in and they will take care of you when it comes to oil changes, rotations on tires, major repairs. Don't trust anybody with your whip. Trust the best. Paul's Motor Works. Those guys, they are absolutely terrific. They will take care of you. Great mechanics all over. Just go see for yourself. Paul and the team, they represent everything when it comes to class and being the best. They're right off of 2222 and 620. For more info, visit them online at pmwaustin.com. All right, Double R, Paul's Motor Works, offensive play of the game. What you got?
Man, low hanging fruit, dude. Low hanging fruit. Throw the bait out there, and I'll take it. 83-yard touchdown pass to Parker Livingston, and that I think not only play of the game. Let's see how this season shakes out. We saw a much more comfortable Arch Manning after that. We said everything that we've talked about. The body language was better. The mechanics got better. Everything got better. That could be a play that we may go, because he was flat. He was flat as a flat Coca-Cola before that. But this is a dude. This could be a play where the pass to that dude may be something that magnifies the season, because it did. It changed. It changed not only the game, but I think it changed Arch. And this is his guy. So I think the injuries plays were great as well. But I mean, I really think that's the one that even more big picture is going to be something more impactful this year. Got to be the 83-yard touchdown pass, man.
Yeah, the defense was playing zone at the time, and you got to find those gaps when a team's playing zone like that. And shout out to Parker Livingston from sitting in that gap on the wheel route, and your quarterback puts it on the money like Arch did. When you have wheels like Parker Livingston, just put the ball in his hands and let him do the rest, and he did that. Matthew, good looking now, Playboy. We appreciate you, man. We appreciate that. That's big time. But yeah, like – everybody was clowning about the white boys getting a lot of love today with Parker Livingston and Jack injuries. Hey, it'd be that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, the pigskin don't see color.
I don't care what color they are, dude.
Yeah, nobody gives a damn, man. This ain't no Troy Aikman's or racist stuff. Come on now. Who was open at the time? It was Parker Livingston and Jack Injuries. I'm going with my play of the game, 36-yard pass to Jack Injuries to make the score 21-0 at the time. Right up the seam. Great pass, had a lot of time in the pocket. One of the really good pass protection moments from this offensive line, because that route, it took forever, but Arch sat comfortable in the pocket, and once Jack Injuries became open, went through his progression, saw him, hit him. Jack Injuries, probably one of the easiest touchdowns of his career. So these guys, man, the white boys, they can run, they can play. I'll give them that. Injuries, yeah. Livingston, and maybe that's why they're so open. Maybe it's just a natural reaction to think. It's a natural thought, like, these white boys, they ain't gonna do nothing.
Yeah. They're always gonna draw single coverage and
let's see what these brothers talking about. Let's see what these brothers could do. We ain't worried about them. White boy, as Hair of the Dog says, white boy could run.
Dude, all we hear is Wingo is so fast. All right, that's fine.
All right, cool.
Leave that dude over there. Yeah, no. I don't care what color they are. I mean, whoever it is. I mean, I don't care what. I mean, orientation. I mean, in the words of Bill Parcells, no offense, but I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah, just score. Care less. Just get in the end zone. Damn it. God, that's funny. Man. All right, time for the defensive play of the game, brought to you by Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill. Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill is a place that takes you back to a simpler time. Comfortable, familiar, relaxed, and easygoing. Moonshine greets guests like family, and it's just chicken and waffles, man. God, great grits. It's just great Southern cooking. Takes a classic American comfort food style and makes it into just a big city type of taste. Absolutely amazing. Join them for their fantastic dinners, their phenomenal weekend brunch. Over 20 years and counting, Moonshine has been doing it big and been doing it very well. 2 locations, downtown Austin and Avery Ranch. Valet, complimentary valet. They will take care of you. Just got to make sure you get that from the waiter and stuff. And Cedar Park, that area, that's a good one too. That's right down the block from me. Wifey and I go there all the time. So if you want to go to moonshinegrill.com for more information, do so and make a reservation at Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill. Defensive play of the game, Double R.
And a perfect weekend for Moonshine, overcast, it's supposed to be raining tomorrow morning. I mean, that's the time to do it. I mean, that is the perfect time to go out there. Might have to hit the Avery Ranch location. That's right down the street from me. You know what I love about the defensive player of the game or defensive play of the game is there's so many.
Right.
There's so many. I mean, there's so many to pick, and we've already talked about a lot of good ones. But man, I like the Jelani McDonald tip that led to the Gilbo interception. That, and again, that was at that point of the game to where you were starting to see that tide turn, and you were starting to really see the offense kind of come and find itself a little bit. And then you had that happen. You get a turnover, and boom, there you go. I mean, again, a short field, so able to capitalize on that, and that's a good thing about it. The defensive turnovers resulted in points, several times a day. But the Gilbo interception, and again, just Jelani being able to get a hand on the ball, just really like that, and it just kind of magnifies to me the thought of this defense, where it's hats on the ball. It's a lot of hats and a lot of shirts just swarming the ball. Not a more evident play this year than that play right there, in my opinion. I got to go that direction.
Yeah, I like it. I'm still not quite sold on Jalen Gilbo being the starting outside corner yet. I thought last week he did a pretty good job. The catch by Carnell Tate in the end zone. Like, Carnell Tate's a big time wide receiver. It wasn't like Jalen Gilbo was in bad position. Carnell Tate just made the better play. Julian Sand made the better play by throwing it up. This week, though, Jalen Gilbo got ate up a little bit. A little bit too much for my taste. Now, let's respect San Jose State, their spear and shoe, which is a little knockoff on the run and shoe. It's tough to guard. And the way that Pete Kwiatkowski and them, the way they were playing it, I don't know if it was more of the scheme or it was Jalen Gilbo, but 3 got attacked a little bit, and it was a good play on the interception. But if Jelani McDonald didn't get a hand on it, then who knows what would have happened on that play. So I love Jalen Gilbo. I think he's a terrific football player. Nickel Jalen Gilbo, solid. He was terrific last year, quietly really good. Outside corner Jalen Gilbo, to be determined.
That's a lot of difference. That's a lot of difference in landscape. Yeah.
It's a difference. So again, he was really, besides the Carnell Tate play, which that's all Texas fans are going to remember with Jalen Gilbo in that game, he was solid. And this week, it was a little up and down. So I'm still trying to see the ruling with Jalen Gilbo and just how I feel and how he's going to look playing that outside corner spot as the season goes on. Obviously, this coaching staff is high of him, and they're high of Grayson Littleton taking over that nickel star position. But that's just something to look after right now. My defensive play of the game, brought to you by Moonshine, Patio, Bar and Grill. Yeah, I'm going right back to Anthill again. The dude literally punched the guy in the face to force a fumble. That is crazy. That is just a straight haymaker to the helmet.
Yeah.
Like, that type of aggression, I love that type of stuff because I get it. We're trying to protect the players and, the old Ronnie Lott, John Lynch days, Ray Lewis, where they could just take your helmet off and clothesline you across the middle. Those days are gone. So when I see something that resembles the old days a little bit and guys don't get flagged for it, I'm going to celebrate.
I love that, dude.
You know what I'm saying? I'm going to celebrate that old school, hard-nosed football where you might have to check him for a concussion afterwards.
Yeah.
Hey, that's the game. If you go in the tent, watch the finger, tell me how many fingers I'm holding up, what color are my eyes, go through all the test and shit, and get back on the field.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. Get the smelling salt, double R. You know about that. Out. You know what I'm saying? Make sure homie knows what his mama's name is and get his ass back on the field.
Yeah.
Anthill, that's what I'm talking about. I will say it again. After the week that Anthill had, we didn't hear of him much in Ohio State. He needed to deliver the boom. I appreciate that. This defense has a nastiness to them, even though there were some moments where San Jose State made some really good plays, and I'm sure Pete Kwiatkowski is going to let the defense know about it. Overall, 7 points against anybody, you'll take that. Shout out to Anthill. My defensive play of the game, brought to you by Moonshine, Patio Bar and Grill. All right, Double R, time for the final word, brought to you by Sue Patrick. For the best selection and for Texas Longhorns gear, go to our friends at Sue Patrick, located 5222 Burnett Road, online at SuePatrick.com. They have everything you need to rep your favorite Longhorn type of gear, from polos, Arch Manning jerseys, golf balls, hats, grilling accessories. They got it all when it comes to Texas gear and whatever your burnt orange heart desires. So, and plus they got tons of free parking out there. You ain't got to worry about that.
Right,
I know ATX parking's a big deal for a lot of us out here. And when you go online and you make a purchase over $59, you get free shipping at SuePatrick.com. So go see our friends at Sue Patrick. Final word, Double R.
Be sure when you go to Sue Patrick, talk to Jay and tell him Double R said you need some government cheese. Be sure and ask him that. But what you were talking about right quick, man, it's like I go back and I watch those old, highlight videos and all that from the NFL and college football when those guys would just knock the living shit out of each other. And it's like, damn, it's like you forget that that's the way football was back then. I mean, look, we love football. But if you're not a kid my age or Zay's younger than I am, but where you actually got to see aggressive football, my Lord.
Yeah.
God dang it. So when you do see something like that today, that's gonna get you all fired up. Final word. Hey man, do some cleaning up. You get the win. You go out. You've got a couple of weeks to sit here and just clean up stuff. 12 penalties for 115 yards is unacceptable. That's absolutely unacceptable, especially against, again, no disrespect to San Jose State, but if you're doing that against San Jose State, what are you going to do against a Florida, a Georgia, a Texas A&M, an Ohio State, a Clemson, one of those? You got to get that stuff fixed. The mechanics, you just gotta clean a bunch of stuff up. You're far from being where you need to be. If, like you said, you're talking about 4 losses and all that, I thought about that, Zay, today, where I'm like, this could very well be a 4 or 5 loss team with some of the mechanics and fundamentals that are lacking right now. So you got to get that done. Don't put this all on the defense. You have all the firepower in the world that you need right there. Just get them cohesive, get them working together. Get some confidence. This isn't a confident football team right now on the offensive side. Get that part done. Get that head straight. And I think you're going to be all right. But you need to do it really damn quick because it's really about to start counting here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, October 4th will creep up on you quicker than you think. So you got to really tighten a lot of stuff up. And hair of the dog, I was waiting for it, man. I picked 45-7. I thought Matthew Caldwell was going to leave that drive to make me look smart as hell, but Jared Gibson screwed me over. So
Rhino.
Baby Rhino, come on, dog. I feel for him. Them transfer calls, he going to be getting them very soon. And
he done.
That's a shame, but hey, got to produce. I hear exactly what you're saying, Double R. You're right. It's just the penalties. That's the biggest thing I take away from this game. I thought Arch was solid overall, 19 for 30, 295, 1 interception, but you got his 4 touchdowns in there, 1 running. The one that he scrambled was a thing of beauty. Like, he's just so hard to tackle, such a physical specimen. And yeah, you just got to keep on building the confidence with this offense. Like, there's no identity yet for this offense. Like, you'll know if they're going to be able to run the football consistently. You'll know what the air attack is going to be consistently. And again, it's only 2 games, so you can't write the book on this team yet. You just got to go with the flow each and every week. But right now, on the defensive side, I see a very physical, tough-ass, hard-to-score on defense that has a lot of guys that could be put in a lot of versatile situations. And on offense, I see a very undisciplined team that just hasn't found that groove yet. They've shown flashes. Parker Livingston, Jack Indries. I thought Nick Townsend came in today, made some really good blocks. I thought CJ Baxter had some really good runs. I'm glad that, it sucks that he got that touchdown taken away because for some reason Cole Hudson wanted to go low on the block. Dude, you know you can't do that.
That's
you can't do shit like that's what we've been talking, like just dumb shit. Like, this team they do dumb things at times. So get rid of all the dumb shit and they will be fine. Colin Simmons, gonna need you to pick it up, buddy. Gonna need you to pick it up. All the hype that you got, you're making a ton of paper. I've seen Colin Simmons in a lot of NIL situations. I talked about it last week. Like, you went and reposted Julian Sand in that picture when he got the starting job. And then you were kind of a ghost against Ohio State. You had some pressures, but overall, you didn't make that type of impact to back up all the talking that you did during, off the field. And now you get 3 penalties in a game. Now, I hope he's okay because he got nicked up a little bit. Remember, Travian Wisner didn't play. Alex January didn't play. Who knows where DeAndre Moore is going to be coming in.
Taft went off the field at the end. You see, Mookie kind of went off.
Yeah. So, you hope guys stay healthy because you're going to need all of those guys in order to accomplish the goals that this team still has right in front of them, Double R. Like, this team, we see the talent. You see it. You see where the hype is on why this team was the preseason #1 squad, but right here, mentally, they're not there yet. So once they clean that up, they'll be fine. And we'll see how it goes next week against UTEP.
I just really think that they need to figure out a way, and it's really hard nowadays. I mean, it's really hard nowadays, and they were talking about this on the broadcast today with Arch Manning to be able to block out the outside noise, and because everybody going into game 1 against Ohio State, everybody's telling you how good you are, and it's really when people tell you that shit, it's really, really hard to not just sit there and bask in that shit and believe it all you want, because you really are, but to not just sit there and now I think you're getting questioned. So I'm hoping that they're going to be able to flip that script a little bit, because there's a lot of people that aren't buying in and believing into all the hype that Texas had coming into the season. I hope that they can use that. I mean, kind of use that Kirby Smart thing. Use that Kirby Smart mentality, man. Make that light a fire underneath you and get out there and find the continuity and just don't do stupid shit.
Yeah. Texas Longhorns get their first win of the season to go 1-1, 38-7 against the San Jose Spartans. Appreciate everybody for rocking with us on the Texas Sports Unfiltered post-game show, brought to you by Covert Bee Cave and Audio-Visual Consultations. Again, if you haven't subscribed, do it. Appreciate everybody for doing so. Love what we do here at Texas Sports Unfiltered. We got shows for you all week long, per usual, from the morning to late in the evening. Just great talent, great voices on this platform, great Texas talk, and everything in between during this football season. We will be back next week for the post-game show after the UTEP game, but Longhorn fans,
like 10 o'clock. It's going to be like 10 o'clock.
It's going to be late. It's going to be a little later. But hey, again, appreciate y'all. Can't wait for that. Double R, Rodney Rodriguez. I am Zay Collier. Y'all be cool.